I'm Yves, I'm the CEO of Fieldwire, and I'm joined today by Tim Pickett, who's the CEO of Encompass AV. Tim, we're really proud to have you as a customer. We're really happy that you're on the show today. I would rather talk about Encompass AV, but obviously we're going to talk a little bit more about COVID-19 today and basically the impact it's having on your business as a contractor.
Sounds good. Yeah, great. I'm ready.
Good. So Encompass AV is in Chicago. How are things in Chicago right now? What has been the short-term impact so far of the crisis?
Well, it's very similar to all the rest of the major cities, especially New York. I feel that Chicago is very closely following New York's lead on whatever New York does, Chicago does an hour later, right? So they've closed down all the restaurants, all the bars, all the nightclubs. That scene is totally done. Restaurants can do door-side pickup, which is good. You know, at least they have it. You know, they can create some revenue generation there. But we have a tremendous amount of staff and employees out of work, completely out of work. Bartenders, servers, waiters, people that are hourly, just sitting around not making any money. And we do a healthy amount of our business is hospitality. We do a lot of new construction, but we also do a lot of retrofits and restaurant upgrades and cleaning, maintenance, all kinds of different stuff for high-end restaurants in Chicago. So it's definitely affected our business. You know, we've had a bunch of jobs pushed, delayed, canceled until further notice type things. So yeah, Chicago's pretty strict. Things are shutting down, I don't think it's going to get. I don't think it's going to get better in the very near future. I think it's going to get a little worse first.
Okay. I mean, in San Francisco right now, we have like a shelter-in-place order, but construction is still considered like an essential activity, meaning that they're able to continue working on job sites. So let's talk a little bit about kind of like office/job site shutdowns, whether it's forced or not. Do you have any thoughts on that?
A lot of the offices, we'll talk office space first. A lot of the offices have been, people are working from home. That's just the bottom line. And it puts us in a tough position because we do a lot of office technology. We do a lot of video conferencing systems and whatnot. But when everybody's working from home and just video conferencing from their MacBook or their laptop, there's not really much for us there. So that's kind of fallen offline. As far as construction goes, construction as of right now is still moving forward with the bigger stuff. Like I mentioned before, we have a larger project. We're working on the Nobu Hotel, and that project is still going. That project's been delayed for a multitude of reasons, and they're on a big push to get it open for July. And of course, you know, now on a big job site like that, it's a 12-story hotel, and you got hundreds of workers on it on a day. It's very nerve-wracking to wonder if that's going to get delayed yet again, and if it's so, how long. We haven't had any official stop work orders yet in the city to kill construction, but there are talks of it. So it's a big concern for us right now.
Yeah, even if the order doesn't come straight from the government, are you afraid that maybe the unions could issue that order? Or 100%. The fact that the logistics might be disrupted, that you're not getting materials on site, and that causes you to have to stop business?
Yes, for now, all the stuff, all the audio-visual stuff, which is 80% of our work, 70-80% of our work, we haven't seen a disruption in the supply chain yet, knock on wood. I know that some of my other low-voltage company friends, people who focus in life safety type stuff, like fire alarm systems and whatnot, they've had complete large vendors shut down, like access cameras. I know I heard their warehouse closed. So there are product issues in the industry, not specific to us yet, but there's going to be delays for sure. Materials and whatnot.
How short is your supply cycle usually on those projects? Like, do you order like 2 weeks ahead, a month ahead?
It depends on the job. It's typically probably 3-4 weeks ahead. Right, we like to get it in. If we know something can be a little more time consuming, like we have a very high-end brand of speakers, Martin Audio, and a lot of stuff's made in the UK. So that stuff has to be ordered like 2 months ahead, you know, 6 to 8 weeks. But most of our stuff we can turn around in 3 to 4 weeks. And we've got a pretty decent inventory of what we need now, right, for the next couple weeks. But after a couple of weeks, if our supply chains do close, that could absolutely be a problem, and that leads into obviously cash flow too, like you and I were talking about before.
Yeah, I mean, let's get into it actually, because like Boston, the city has ordered construction to shut down. I know that the AGC is reacting very strongly right now to explain that many contractors are not going to be able to handle the cash issue if they're forced to shut down, and they're not going to be able to fund payroll for many weeks. Yep. Talk to me a bit more about the cash situation of contractor, and especially in your case, subcontractors, sure. and what it means to run those businesses.
For sure. Well, we're going to see exactly what we're seeing in the restaurant industry now. The restaurant industry, these people are completely out of work. They're hourly employees. They're tip-based employees too, a lot of them. And the restaurants, it's rumored, I don't think rumored is the right word, whispered that, a lot of restaurants, especially the mom and pop shops, aren't going to be able to pull out of this. They're not going to be able to come back. They've got produce and food that's going bad in freezers. They've got expenses they can't pay because they have no income. This is going to be about the same thing if they shut down the construction industry. This is going to be a major problem. I don't know. A lot of people don't know out there how construction sites work and how really a lot of the money, a lot of the funding is secured by the subcontractor in many ways. So when you have a GC that's building a large building, they hire a bunch of subcontractors, one for HVAC, one for plumbing, one for electrical, so on and so forth. These subcontractors, they have to go out and they have to buy all the materials. They have to put a bunch of labor in. And after 30 days of working and providing materials, they submit an invoice to the job site, to the GC. The GC then has to approve this. They have to bump it up to ownership for approval. The ownership has to bump it over to the bank for approval. The bank has to approve it. And then the bank and the ownership actually have to fund what's called the draw. So the minimum amount of time that a subcontractor, from the day that a subcontractor starts to the time that they get paid is 60 days, and it's very typically 90 days, anywhere in that period. So subcontractors are really the core of funding for these big projects. So if construction gets completely shut down, it's going to be hugely problematic for the small guys, which are the subcontractors. The subcontractors are always the small companies. They're not the massive GCs. They're not ownership. They're not banks. So when they shut construction down and the banks stop paying money that's already owed, if that happens, it's a major problem. Subcontractors won't be able to pay their vendors. They won't be able to make payroll, and everything will grind to a halt. When employees don't get payroll, they're not going to be able to pay their bills. One thing leads to another. It's going to be a tremendous domino effect.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is that if this situation extends to basically more than 2-3 months, that's where really the cash is going to become real hard on subs.
I would say 2 to 3 weeks.
2 to 3 weeks. Okay.
I don't think the subcontractors, especially the small businesses, are going to be good for more than 2 to 3 weeks. The larger firms, sure, people who have larger lines of credit can go further, can push further out. It all depends too. The vendors have to be able to work with them. But also, all these guys are hourly out there. If construction shut down, they don't even have to pay their employees. Nobody's making any money. It's a lose-lose all the way around, except for the whole COVID-19 thing, not getting sick.
Yeah.
I'm not a doctor, so I'm not here to speak to that.
It's interesting, like what portion of the labor that you use on site is actually not directly an employee out of Encompass and are like basically temp labor that you hire on top of your regular employees?
So we're in a very interesting situation here in Chicago. Chicago is a huge union city, right? Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of suburbs in Chicago too, and so there's a lot of projects that are non-union. We swing both ways. The only people we subcontract that we don't use in-house is union electricians to pull our cable and sometimes install gear in Chicago proper when we're doing union jobs. So those are our subcontractors. Everybody else, all my other employees work in-house. We don't really have, we don't hire day laborers or anything like that. But yeah, it's going to be an issue. We have bank draws coming in over the next 4 to 5 weeks. And as long as those come in, we're okay for a little bit. But those are going to stop if construction stops. Yep. And it's going to become very problematic very quickly. So,
have you heard any response from the unions to that? Like if the job has to stop, do they have a plan in place to support the workers?
the unions, from what I understand, and yeah, I'm not a union rep or a BA by any means. So this is, this is what I understand. The unions are insured for this. So there should be some safety net of some sort for the union workers, some kind of out of work compensation. Of course, it's not going to be what they normally make, right? But there should be some sort of AFLAC type plan, safety net. So there will be some cash flow from what I understand. Again, I don't work for the union. I'm an owner of a company, and we just subcontract union work. So that's whispered that will kick in, and that the union, because of the safety too, the union has to take concern for the safety of their staff, for the union workers, right? And so if this thing becomes if the numbers and the statistics say, hey, this is really dangerous that you have 250 people on a job site during the day, then I think the union may exercise that option. It won't come from the city. It will come from the union, and they'll pull off the jobs, and the jobs will grind to a halt.
I think we're all trying to adapt as quickly as we can to this new normal. Maybe as a closing argument, like what are you doing to prep, maybe at the tactical level, at the strategic level, to make sure that should this last a bit longer than we hope for, you're ready to deal with it and it doesn't endanger the business?
Yeah, I think that it's important to really look at your business, any small business owner right now, and now is the time to become extraordinarily efficient. That can mean many things. That can mean, anything from getting maybe rid of some of the people that haven't been performing, to trimming staff, to trimming hours. There's a lot of things. That's the negative side of it. The positive side of it is, how do we become more efficient in our departments? How can we optimize and streamline our products, our performance line, so that things get done quicker and better? And then that new structure can move into the future with you, and you can become a better business. I truly feel that we're going to come out of this stronger. And when this does stop, whether it's 8 weeks or 2 or 3 months, God forbid, we're going to have a tremendous amount of work, because there's going to be a lot of catch-up work to do, right? So you just got to get through this time frame, optimize your company, hold on to as much cash as you can hold on to, keep as many people employed as you can, do the right thing, cut expenses wherever you can, and work with your vendors too. Their companies, their businesses too. Call your vendors, work out extended terms. I'm sure they're doing the same thing with their creditors. We all got to work together as a team in the business community, be understanding of one another right now, and help each other. And I think we'll all, majority of us can get through this if we're all understanding and we work together.
Well, I certainly can relate to that. I mean, we're coming out of a 12-year boom cycle over here in Silicon Valley, and being efficient and profitable have not been words that we've heard for a long time. So everybody's trying to adjust the same way. Well, amazing content and amazing advice from you, Tim, today. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you for having me.
The best over the next few weeks, and talk to you soon.
Stay safe, stay healthy, my friend.
Stay indoors, absolutely.
All right.
Bye, Tim.
Thank you, guys.
Good.